Hey everybody, I'm here to give you all the crazy, interesting, fun, and funny facts you may not know about Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, and the downfall and revival of one of the best original animation and comedy channels in television history. If you grew up in the last 30 years, chances are that you've seen, or at least heard of, Cartoon Network. I grew up with shows like Space Ghost Coast to Coast, the Powerpuff Girls, Cow and Chicken, and Dexter's Laboratory. And, as an adult, I love Adult Swim. However, times and tastes change, and even though Cartoon Network seemed doomed just a few years ago, the beloved channel is coming back with more of our favorite animated adventures. Here's the story of how Cartoon Network was born, their heyday in the 90s and early 2000s, the decline, the controversies, and the rebirth. If you're a millennial like me, this will definitely bring tears of nostalgia to your eyes. Keep it here, folks. On October 1st, 1992, media mogul Ted Turner and Warner Brothers Discovery Networks premiered the Cartoon Network, beginning with reruns of classic animated television series and cartoon shorts including Warner Brothers properties like Looney Tunes, Merry Melodies, the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer classics, Tom and Jerry, and Droopy Dog, as well as Hanna-Barbera favorites Scooby-Doo, the Flintstones, and the Snorks. The Cartoon Network benefited greatly from having access to these vast and beloved libraries, as Turner was the owner of everything in the MGM film and television library made before May 1986, as well as part of the United Artists Vault. In 1991, Turner purchased the rights to the Hanna-Barbera library, and he chose Betty Cohen, who was the vice president of Turner's other network TNT, to come up with a new network to showcase all of these classic cartoons and movies. In February of 1992, Turner publicly announced his plans for the Cartoon Network. For continuity, the announcers would call it the Cartoon Network, until 1995, when it was officially renamed simply Cartoon Network. The 90s were a very animated time for the new channel, which, let's not forget, had to compete with Nickelodeon and the Disney Channel in their prime for viewers and kids' attention spans. The fact that Cartoon Network had access to an established and revered animation studio like Hanna-Barbera, as well as all those classic cartoons from MGM and Warner Brothers, gave the channel something the other kids' networks didn't have. They didn't have to spend money on original programming. Even with that being said, together with Hanna-Barbera, Cartoon Network Studios was founded in 1994 to provide some original programming to break up the animation blocks. These original shows included What a Cartoon, which offered a series of original, modern, animated shorts. In 1996, a live-action puppet show called Big Bag premiered, which was a partnership with Children's Television Workshop, the studio that produces Sesame Street, as well as another anthology series called Small World. On the heels of the success of shows like What a Cartoon and Big Bag, Cartoon Network quickly added classic kids fare like Dexter's Laboratory, Cow and Chicken, the Powerpuff Girls, I Am Weasel, Johnny Bravo, Ed, Edd and Eddy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and codename Kids Next Door. These shows were big hits for Cartoon Network, and along with all the MGM and Warner Brothers shorts, Cartoon Network was the place to go for all of your cartoon needs from roughly 1994 through 2000. I personally was a big fan at this time, especially of the Powerpuff Girls, Johnny Bravo, and Courage the Cowardly Dog. When I was a kid, Saturday mornings were awesome. I know we all have differing tastes and viewpoints, but Cartoon Network had quality, edgy shows that the Disney Channel and Nickelodeon didn't have. Even though Nick and Disney started much earlier, Cartoon Network actually had more viewers and subscribers. These shows were not only funny, but also intelligent, with maybe just a few jokes and innuendos that went over our little heads. I don't know about you, but I love watching Cartoon Network shows as an adult and laughing out loud at some of the underlying humor and grown-up jokes. In 1997, Cartoon Network introduced us to Toonami to help capitalize off the rising popularity of Japanese anime in America. Toonami premiered with Dragon Ball Z and another one of my all-time favorites, Sailor Moon. By the end of the 90s, Cartoon Network was officially the go-to channel for anime. By the time the new millennium rolled around, however, Cartoon Network had some serious competition from other, newer, shinier kids networks such as Kids WB, 4Kids TV, Disney XD, Disney Junior, and Discovery Kids. At this point, Cartoon Network was barely hanging on, with just the Toonami and anime shows to back them up. By 2000, Cartoon Network and Toonami had acquired anime favorites like G Gundam, Hack Sign, Wolf Rain, Fooly Cooly, Tenchi Muyo, and Ronin Warriors. But was it enough to stay afloat? In the 1990s, many of the cartoons on Cartoon Network had more mature themes and images. These cartoons were smart, and they taught lessons and values without being condescending. The quality of these cartoons was excellent and perfect for Cartoon Network. Thanks to the popularity of these shows, the sales of toys based on Cartoon Network shows gradually went up and stayed up, thanks to kids who couldn't get enough of their favorite Cartoon Network characters. As we discussed previously, Cartoon Network introduced a whole new generation to retro cartoons like Scooby-Doo, The Flintstones, and Yogi Bear, which provided Cartoon Network with even more revenue from syndication and marketing. Growing up, once I saw a giant Scooby-Doo stuffed animal where the Cartoon Network logo was prominently displayed on the tag. Cartoon Network was fading out. For some reason, they stopped showing classics like Thundercats and The Adventures of Johnny Quest, losing that coveted older audience who watched cartoons for the better storylines, inside jokes, and nostalgia factor. They also made the mistake of investing in live-action shows so they could even the score with Nickelodeon and Disney. What the heck? They even tried showing animated movies from the Warner Brothers, MGM, and United Artists archives, as well as adding new cartoons like Teen Titans and Ben 10. But needless to say, audiences were not amused. The Cartoon Network even tried reimagining Teen Titans and Ben 10 into seemingly new shows with different animation styles and new stories, but it just didn't work. Nickelodeon had the powerhouse that is SpongeBob SquarePants, and Disney was taking over the airwaves with The Proud Family and Kim Possible. To make matters worse, it seemed as if Cartoon Network was unwilling to change with the times and tastes. As technology and animation techniques improved, Cartoon Network, and Western animation in general, fell by the wayside and couldn't compete with other modern, more sophisticated cartoon and animation styles. The reimagined shows didn't do well, and the powers that be at Cartoon Network were forced to go back to the drawing board, both literally and figuratively. There was a time when our favorite cartoons were created with the help of a massive team of talented and artistic individuals. These days, you would be surprised to know that many television networks who air animated shows outsource the animation work to other countries, so that the work can be done cheaper and quicker. When this happens, the work just doesn't compare to the classic animation from Disney, Warner Brothers, and MGM that so many of us grew up with and love to this day. The shows on Cartoon Network in the early 2000s just didn't measure up to those classic clips, and it looks lazy. I'm certainly not the only one who thinks this. Cartoon Network may have been catering to a younger audience with reboots and reworkings, but they were only talking down to their die-hard demographic. Cartoon Network's lineup became progressively lower quality with cheap flash animation as opposed to the tried-and-true ink and paint and hand-drawn cartoons of yesteryear. However, there was a dark horse on Cartoon Network's horizon, which would provide alternative programming for a whole new audience. In 2001, in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, the world was given permission to Adult Swim. Adult Swim was established as an edgy alternative during the later hours of 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. when Cartoon Network's primary audience would normally be fast asleep. In 2004, Adult Swim launched their video-on-demand service for subscription TV providers alongside their websites. Then, in 2006, Cartoon Network and Adult Swim made episodes available online for free, which increased the fan base and overall viewership. In the 2010s, Hulu acquired the rights to several hit Cartoon Network and Adult Swim shows. As of 2020, many of our favorite Cartoon Network shows can now be seen on HBO Max. That same year, Adult Swim and Cartoon Network launched official websites, where fans could have access to full episodes of Cartoon Network and Adult Swim shows, online streams, podcasts, music streaming, comics, a programming schedule, and a whole section dedicated to Toonami. There were also message boards, which were eventually replaced with live streams and chat rooms. At one time, the website even had a store for both Cartoon Network and Adult Swim merchandise. This lasted until 2012, when only a single item was advertised on Adult Swim at a time through a QVC-style show through 2017. The site shut down for good in early 2021. By 2005, Cartoon Network was back on track, and Adult Swim was even given its own Nielsen ratings report to distinguish these adult shows from the daytime exclusively children's programming. Adult Swim was, and is, stylistically different and varied from anything else on television, and is proud to be home of some genius original shows like Robot Chicken, Squidbillies, Rick and Morty, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Metalocalypse, Super Jail, and The Venture Brothers, as well as live-action shows like Tim and Eric Awesome Show, Great Job, and Check It Out with Dr. Steve Brule. Reruns of syndicated series like Family Guy and King of the Hill, anime, claymation, and stop-motion showcases like Moral Oral, and short films that have minimal or no editing of content. Also, in 2005, Adult Swim went international, and the channel has enjoyed success in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, England, Ireland, and even Russia. How cool is that? It just goes to show that comedy and cartoons are universal. Adult Swim is famous for its adult animation features, mockumentaries, sketch comedy, and pilot or premiere episodes of shows that might now have a home anywhere else. Adult Swim has earned its name for its frequent regular airing of shows with frank, explicit, strong, and most importantly, hilarious adult themes. Most, if not all of Adult Swim's programming block is experimental, transgressive, improvised, unscripted, and very surrealist. Adult Swim is a hit with various animation studios who specialize in absurd and shock comedy, and don't want their work heavily censored. Fans and night owls of Cartoon Network and Adult Swim are quite fond of the bumps or transitions during commercial breaks, which are usually humorous or even holiday-themed. The channel is much loved for their history of pranks. In 2013, the network inserted pictures of cats throughout most of its shows, and, to celebrate April Fool's Day in 2016, Adult Swim showed nothing but commercials to recap their history and hype up the prank, only to resume regular programming at midnight. For the next April Fool's Day in 2017, all of the episodes scheduled to air were given distorted audio mixes, laugh tracks, Seinfeld stings, robotic and pitch-shifted filters to voices, crazy sound effects, and alternate music. They also pay tribute to deceased celebrities, where there is no music or sound effects, just a fade-in that shows the star's name with their years of birth and death, followed by a fade-out. As of the date of this video, Cartoon Network can boast a whopping 94 million viewers just from Adult Swim, and I'm proud to say that I'm one of those viewers. Adult Swim and Cartoon Network even stepped into the world of alternate reality in 2017 by including a cryptic, mysterious bump during an episode of Rick and Morty. The bump told viewers to go to a Twitter account and that they were to try to rescue a kidnapped AI named Delilah. Each week, the bumps during commercial breaks provided puzzles that were to be solved by viewers, with the solutions to be submitted via Twitter. The correct solutions were then gradually revealed via Adult Swim's Twitter page. Eventually, Delilah was forced to self-destruct in order to prevent a security breach, and the associated Twitter account was rebranded as a marketing company and claimed that the game was just an experiment. Then, a new Twitter account started following all of the previous account's existing followers, and this new account informed these followers that they were now searching for Delilah's missing sister, Amelia. This ARG continued all the way up through summer of 2018, and revealed that Amelia was safe and had been so for some time. Players also learned that Amelia's messages asking for help were, in reality, sent 3 years prior to the start of the game, and that the delay in the reception of those messages was caused by time dilation. That's just pure genius if you ask me. 2005 was a big year for Cartoon Network. To capitalize on the expanding popularity and resurgence of the channel and the emergence of smartphones, Cartoon Network, as well as Adult Swim, created several mobile games that ran via Adobe Flash Player, and were based on Adult Swim shows as well as original content. However, these games were removed and Adobe Flash Player was discontinued in 2020. In the late 2000s and going into the early 2010s, Adult Swim had several Flash-based games on their website, including my personal favorite, Robot Unicorn Attack, which came out in early 2010. The game featured the song Always by British synth-pop band Erasure, who enjoyed newfound success and an unexpected peak in popularity thanks to a new audience who played the game just to hear the song. 5 Minutes to Kill Yourself was another big hit for the Cartoon Network Adult Swim website. In 2011, Adult Swim Games was created in order to create original and independent game content and was geared toward the hardcore gamers. Adult Swim shows are known for their usage of music from several independent music labels and has partnerships with indie labels like Stone's Throw Records, Ghostly International, Definitive Jux, and Chocolate Industries. The network even has its own music label, William Street Records. A lot of the Adult Swim bumps, as fans know, make use of instrumental and electronic music, and music is often borrowed from artists who are signed to a vast array of labels that Cartoon Network and Adult Swim have a partnership with, like Warp and Ninja Tune Records. Both Cartoon Network and Adult Swim offer podcasts that go behind the scenes of favorite Cartoon Network shows and feature interviews with Cartoon Network and Adult Swim contributors, show creators, and actors. Adult Swim even teamed up with Absolutely Productions to create an original comedy podcast called This is Branchburg. The Cartoon Network and Adult Swim mobile apps are very popular, especially among college students. In 2014, Adult Swim added 24/7 live streams and web series to their website and started airing marathons of their most popular shows on a loop. One of the live streams was just a feed of the Williams Street office's Fish Tank, which became its own series entitled Fish Center Live. Other live streams, like Williams Street Swap Shop and Desperate Losers, soon followed. Cartoon Network also airs syndicated reruns of the 20th Century Fox shows Bob's Burgers, Futurama, King of the Hill, Family Guy, and American Dad, which has created a whole new fan base for Cartoon Network and Adult Swim fans who may be watching these shows for the first time. Unfortunately, things are not always happy at Cartoon Network. The channel has had its fair share of controversy over the course of its run. Throughout its history, as we've discussed, Cartoon Network has broadcast the majority of the Warner Brothers animated shorts in the Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies series, and these shorts were originally created between the 1920s and the 1960s. The Cartoon Network edited out scenes that depicted gunfire, alcohol consumption, cowboys and Indian jokes, tobacco, and politically incorrect, outdated, and racist humor. The unedited versions of infamously offensive cartoons had been kept out of the broadcast rotation for decades by the time Cartoon Network gained the rights to them. One of these cartoons, Coal Black and the Seven Dwarfs, which was released back in 1943, was actually well regarded and culturally significant by critics, but was omitted anyway. I've seen Coal Black and the Seven Dwarfs, and it is unbelievably outdated and racist. However, it is a crucial part of America's history of slavery, racism, and the Jim Crow era. The Scarlet Pumpernickel from 1950 and Feed the Kitty from 1952 were also edited down in order to remove violence. In the summer of 2001, Cartoon Network made the bold decision to schedule and air a 49-hour-long marathon they called June Bugs and promised to show every single Bugs Bunny cartoon in chronological order. The network also wanted to air a series of cartoons that are referred to as the Censored 11. These 11 Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes shorts had been shelved and stopped from distribution for decades due to their depictions of ethnic and racial stereotypes that were rampant when the cartoons were originally released. Cartoon Network promised that they would air the cartoons after midnight to ensure that children wouldn't be watching. Each episode would begin with an introduction that discussed the historic value and the representations of another time and place. The corporate parent company of Cartoon Network was so afraid that there would be complaints and backlash from viewers concerning the racial insensitivity so much that all of the Censored 11 cartoons, plus one other short, were not shown after all. Lori Goldberg, who was the vice president of public relations for Cartoon Network at the time, defended the final decision, stating, "We're the leader in animation, but we're also one of the top-rated general entertainment networks. There are certain responsibilities that come along with that." Wow, how crazy is that? Have you seen any of these censored and controversial cartoons? Do you think that in our current environment that these cartoons could be shown on TV unedited? Could it open a door to how we can further discuss the portrayal of various ethnic and racial minorities? Is America just as racist and bigoted as it was when these cartoons first came out? I'd love to know what you think in the comments. In 2022, I'm so happy to report that both Cartoon Network and Adult Swim are thriving thanks to the popularity of CartoonNetwork.com, as well as the streaming of episodes of Cartoon Network and Adult Swim shows online. Plus, it seems that everybody has been bitten by the nostalgia bug, and so many people of my generation who grew up with Cartoon Network are rekindling their love for Cartoon Network, and we're sharing these shows with our kids. As if that weren't awesome enough, the Toonami lineup was rebooted in 2012 and now includes a robot named Tom as the host of this beloved block of shows. Cartoon Network has a following overseas and can even be seen in Russia. In 2013, Cartoon Network's sister channel Boomerang was created to show classic and theatrical cartoons, as well as episodes of series like Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, New Looney Tunes, and The Tom and Jerry Show. It just goes to show that you're never too old to watch cartoons. I've reintroduced a lot of my favorite Cartoon Network shows to the youngsters in my family, and I love watching these classic cartoons as an adult. I was a huge Adult Swim fan in college, and years ago, I became a Family Guy fan thanks to the reruns on Adult Swim. That'll be all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you a crazy Cartoon Network fan? What's your favorite Cartoon Network or Adult Swim show? Also, do you think Cartoon Network should phase out live-action shows and stick to animation, or do you prefer a variety? I would love to know. Finally, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date with the latest updates and know when the next episode will be posted. Intellectual Digest here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.